Oh, hey, Tom, I'm going to stop you for just a moment because the police are about to talk to us.
Tom Manger of the Montgomery County Police Department. With me is Chief Richard Bowers from the Montgomery County Fire Rescue Service. At 1 p.m. today, a man entered the Discovery Building through the main entrance at Wayne in Georgia. He came in. He was wearing what appeared to be metallic canister devices on his front and back. He also pulled a handgun out and was waving a handgun. We originally had a report that there was a shot fired. We have not confirmed that that, in fact, is the case. The man told everyone to just stay still, and he has remained in the on the first floor area of the Discovery Building, and that's where he is at this point. We have an ongoing hostage situation that we're dealing with. There are approximately just under 1,900 employees that work in that building. We believe that most of them are out. We still have not confirmed that there may be a few employees still on the upper floors, but right now we have an unconfirmed number of hostages, small number of hostages that are with the suspect at this point. We are in negotiations with him currently, and those negotiations are ongoing. We have the same reports that you do about the identity of the individual. I can tell you right now, I cannot confirm his identity. We're not going to be able to confirm his identity until we get a chance to speak with him face to face.
Is he engaging with the police? Is he engaging with the police?
We're at this point still negotiating with him, trying to get him to release the hostages and surrender peacefully. At this point, the negotiations have been going on for nearly an hour, and we'll continue that for as long as we can.
So what does he want, Chief?
What does he want?
All right, there is a daycare facility on the first floor of the Discovery Building. As far as we can determine, all the children were safely evacuated and we believe have been reunited with their parents. We have no reports of any injuries at this point. We have no reports of any of the children not accounted for. And but again, we've not been able to get into some areas where the nearby the suspects, so we don't know if there's anyone down there that we're unaware of.
So is he making claims about what's in the canister?
Is he making claims about what's in those metallic devices?
I can't talk about any of that right now. To my knowledge, we're assuming and we're going on the assumption that they could be explosive devices. That's the only way we can procead.
Chief, what does he say he wants?
More than one.
I'm sorry.
No, what does he want?
I'm not going to talk about the nature of the negotiations.
A Discovery employee described to me a vest with what looked to be 2 pipe bombs and canisters. Is that consistent with what you're seeing?
That's consistent with what we've seen.
My follow-up question is that there have been eyewitness reports of 4 people on the ground in the lobby. Is that correct?
I can't confirm the number of hostages.
So you're saying that are you saying some of the hostages are injured?
I did not say that. There's no I have not confirmed any injuries.
So what about the people? What about these reports that people are lying on the ground? Is that just incorrect? Eyewitness testimony?
Well, I can't confirm if they're injured or if they're standing up or lying down. I mean, they're in the same room as our suspect.
Is the receptionist one of the?
We don't know. We don't know.
Chief, can you talk about the identity of the hostage? Yeah.
We don't have. I don't have their identities. I haven't confirmed that either.
Are you concerned about programs that they run?
I'm not going to discuss the nature of our discussions with him at this point.
We're going to, the police chief needs to go back for tactical operations right now. We're going to go back to the command post. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Definitely more than one hostage.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, it's 3:20. About another half hour or so. We'll come back. I'll try to be here whether there's anything to say or not. I'll let you know.
You hear reporters there trying to work squeeze every piece of information that they can from the police officers. But obviously, for those of you who heard it for yourselves, or for those of you who are coming in late, there's a good news, bad news scenario here. I'm Rick Sanchez. It's now 20 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, and we're working this developing and tenuous story in Montgomery County, just outside of Washington, D.C. Police now confirm the man seemed to be waving a handgun. They also confirm that he has some kind of metallic device. They weren't specific as to whether the metallic device is tied to his body or whether he's holding it. They did say that they're going on the assumption that this metallic device is some form of explosive. He appears to be making some kind of threats. They are beginning to communicate with him. And here's the worst part of this story. There are other people there with him. They are being considered hostages. Police described them as a small number of people. Nonetheless, police are dealing with this as a very volatile hostage situation inside the Discovery Building there in Montgomery County. Brianna Keilar joining us once again. Brianna, you were updating us earlier about those children that were in this daycare that happens to be on the same floor where this is all taking place. I can only imagine how concerned many of their parents who work in the area must have been.
No, that's exactly right, Rick. And what we heard the police chief of Montgomery County say there was that they believe that all children have been evacuated. And I'm actually sitting across the street from a McDonald's where a Discovery spokesperson told us that children had been evacuated so that they could be reunited with their parents. But the police chief there saying there were no reports of any injuries. But the issue is this, Rick, because the suspect is in a certain area there of the first floor, there are certain parts of the building that police have not been able to get into. That's where there remains a question about whether evacuations are complete, if perhaps there are some employees who may still be inside. So at this point, they are continuing to talk, have negotiations with the suspect, and they believe evacuations are pretty much complete, but they can't be certain because, again, they're certainly restricted from the area where the suspect is.
Tom Fuentes standing by. And by the way, Josh Levs is going to be joining us here in just a moment. I'm interested in Josh giving us a sense of where this area is and what other parts of this community are affected and what police are doing to contain this situation. But let's go to Tom and use his FBI experience to try and get a handle on what's going on here right now. Tom, they say they have every reason to believe that this man has explosives on him. The man has made threats. They're apparently trying to talk him out of whatever it is he's threatening to do. Where are we now? As an experienced FBI guy, where are we now in this investigation? Take us through it.
Well, I think the key thing that was just mentioned by the police spokesperson is that they've been negotiating with this person, in discussions with him for more than an hour. That's a key factor. That means that during this past hour, the negotiators would be trying to calm him down emotionally, to try to de-escalate the potential for violence, to try to convince him that there's a way to resolve this with nobody else being hurt or nobody being hurt at all, and to end this peacefully. But the fact that they've talked for an hour and that there hasn't been a violent reaction on his part or anybody else hurt up till now is actually a very good sign in a case like this.
Let me ask you this, Tom, without getting into specifics, because we at CNN are going to hold off on some of the specifics, but we've already been working diligently to find out who James Lee is. And it sounds to us, just in a cursory examination of this man, that he's an activist. And you know what I mean by an activist. In other words, he's for certain causes that he wants to see dealt with, manifested. Does this sound to you like someone who would be more or less dangerous, or do you even qualify them in a situation like this?
Well, that's hard to speculate. He's dangerous enough if he went in there with a gun and what appears to be, and what he wants everyone to believe, is in fact an explosive device. So whether or not it actually is doesn't matter at this point. The fact is that the police have to treat it as such, and that causes it to be a much more dangerous situation by itself.
Well, let me share with you some of this, okay? I think we can go a little into a little. You know, when you're CNN, you got to be a little careful about stuff like this. We don't want to allow a person who is doing what he is doing to use our network as a way of, as a mouthpiece, so to speak. So we're being real careful. But at the same time, we already know, because I'm tweeting with people all over the world, they're all telling me what they're reading on the internet. So the information's already out there, and this is the age we live in. So I'm going to share with you now from a distance. And let's, Matt, let's not get too tight on this. I mean, there's no reason to get into specifics of what he wants. But this is his manifesto, okay? This is what this James Lee has put out as his cause, so to speak, what he wants. He apparently wants the Discovery Channel, he uses the word must. They must broadcast certain commitments to save the planet. And then he goes on with 1 and 2 and 3, specifically telling them about what they have to do, what they should air, their own stupidity. He's apparently anti-war. He's more for the exploration of areas. He's concerned about global warming, talks about Malthusian sciences, continues to come back to saving the planet. So he's really, if you get my drift, Tom, he's very concerned. He's an activist, maybe very well-meaning, but he's now put himself in a situation where he, the police officers, and his hostages' lives are endangered. What do you do?
Okay, well, what the negotiators will be telling him is, congratulations. Your complaints about Discovery Channel programming are now going out worldwide on the internet and on cable news. Everybody will know everything that you're complaining about. You've accomplished what you intended to accomplish. You have your 15 minutes of fame and everything going with that. Now please surrender before anybody gets hurt, including you. So that will be the effort now, that what his demands are now aired, or will be aired even after the conclusion of this, whether he survives or not. What he was requesting or demanding of network programming will be out there. It will be made public, and so he got that accomplished.
So that's interesting what you're saying, Tom, because, you know, short of giving the guy $1 billion, you know, and a van and a plane out or whatever we see in movies, et cetera, if someone makes a request like this, where all I want people to do is broadcast more of these, as a police officer, you could say, look, we'll work with you. We'll talk to these people, and we'll let them know what you want, and hopefully you'll be able to get this done. Now, can we stop this?
All right.
So you can go, I mean, you can play their game, so to speak, is what it sounds like you're saying.
Well, exactly. And the negotiators and the on-scene commanders will be addressing it just that way. And the good news so far in the situation is, unlike some of the situations that we've seen in recent times where someone goes into a workplace and immediately starts killing coworkers because he has a complaint against the company or against the workers themselves, you know, that's very difficult. It's already happened. People are already dead before the police even arrive. So in this situation, he wants to get his message out. That's the purpose of the exercise. He didn't go in that building with the idea, it doesn't appear anyway, to kill anybody or to hurt anybody or to bring the building down. He went in there to get attention to his cause, and he's done so.
We've got a former FBI negotiator who's joining us now on the beeper line. This is Chris Voss. Chris, you agree with Tom? In a situation like this, you got a guy who appears to be an activist, very tied to his causes, whatever they may be. He has a right to believe in whatever causes he wants to. Do you, to a certain extent, indulge him? Chris, are you there?
I'm here, yes.
I'm sorry, Chris. Chris Voss, did you hear my question?
I did not.
When you have someone like this who appears to be an activist, who wants certain causes met, he's for saving the planet, for example. He wants to make sure this particular company broadcasts more programs of that type. Do you, as a negotiator, indulge him in those needs?
Well, it's not that you indulge him. It's that you listen to him and you make sure that you understand what's driving him. I mean, you want to give him a chance to get it all out, to express what it is that he has to say. I mean, this has all been orchestrated because he's so determined to have something to say. He has a point he's so determined to make. And if you can help get that out of him, then maybe you can diffuse the situation enough where he'll see that he's made his point, and he'll come out alive, and he won't take anybody's life.
The difference in this case is he's not a man with a gun pointed at another person's head. He's a man who apparently has explosives that could go off at any moment. How do you deal with that differently? And again, I don't know if you've been watching, but the last report we've got from the police chief is the following.